Welcome to these Nutz Garage, and today we're going to be working on old Phil here. So like I said in the intro, we're going to be working on our new project truck, and I've nicknamed him Phil. These nuts. Well, anyway, so what we're going to be doing, since this was a police vehicle before, it's got wires all in it from all the radios, sirens, whatever else they put in these things. So I'm going to be kind of going through the truck today and removing some of that stuff. And as I'm doing that, I'm kind of going to be doing an inventory of the other things that need to be fixed on it and start making a little list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the truck real quick and show you all the wires that we got to pull out and how we're going to get them out. And then if I come across anything special while I'm pulling this stuff out, I'll be happy to show you. All right, so first thing underneath the hood, what I got to do is remove this plastic piece here. The wires for the sirens run down through here, or the X sirens. Throw this over here to the side. There's Buddy. Say hello to Buddy. Say hello to you too, Buddy. He said hello. So anyway, as I was saying, here's some speaker wire that this siren was hooked up to. The siren or siren, whatever you want to call it. And it runs back through here, comes around up through over here, kind of goes in this general area. I guess this was a ground. I don't really know where this wire is going other than to right here. So I'm imagining that it goes through the firewall into the truck. And we'll be removing that. I don't see anything else underneath the engine or around the engine or under the hood that needs to be removed. All right, moving to the inside of the vehicle. Like I said, this speaker wire is coming through here somewhere. So I'll pull back the carpet here, and you'll see we have a bunch of red wires, blue wire, this gray wire. This is all going through the body of the truck. So I'm gonna have to get some grommet and patch this hole. We got something that was grounded out here, and then it starts running to the back. What I'm going to do is just try to trace each set of wires and see how far back they go in this vehicle, because like when I picked this truck up, all of this trim was loose, up here was loose, so they've been in it, and they just when they're done, they just slap them back together. So over here you'll see a bunch of wires. So I'm imagining that the gray wire that's up front is running back here. So I'm gonna start pulling that out and see where that leads me to, and I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back again with to show you something. If you ever buy an ex law enforcement vehicle that has all the radios and all that stuff removed, you need to be careful, because this truck is just littered with a ton of wires. So we got a gray wire coming through here. I know that's not factory, but before you start cutting wires at random and yanking stuff out, make sure you know what you're pulling. But these red wires are going back up here, hanging out. They run through here. They're coming through here. And if you look inside here, I don't know if you'll be able to. There's a ton of red and gray wires. And inside each one of these gray wires, well, there's a red wire, black wire, white wire, probably several power wires. They've just cut the ground here. Some of these wires run that way to that side of the truck. So, and then some of them run back here. Like I showed in the previous video, he runs up through here. Back down in here, there are red wires. And I know you're saying, well, that doesn't matter a lot. Well, normally red's hot. If one of those red wires grounds out, he could burn his whole truck to the ground. So I have another wire that was grounded here. And then, like I showed earlier, there's all these wires coming up through here. Now this red wire you see here goes through the dash. This is the wire right here, it's coming up. And this is a panel box where it's tied in. I don't know if you can see it, but I just unpulled it. I just unplugged it, which is good, because if this was a car stereo, this wouldn't make it out the door, or it shouldn't. Because that right there, if that red wire in any way grounds out to even hear anywhere, there's no fuse, there's no breaker, it'll short out and burn this truck to the ground. So I'm glad that wire come undone, but look, it's just going through the floor. So now I've got to start pulling all this wire, figure out where this other wire is going, and get it cleaned up. Alrighty, more shadiness going on. These law enforcement officers that worked on this truck, or whoever did this wiring in this truck, should stay being law enforcement officers, because some of this wiring that's in this truck is so shady that I'm surprised it hadn't burned down yet. So I'm still going through here and removing some of the wires from the back hatch, because they had the strobe lights and all that on the back of this. So here's some wires we're going to remove. They come all the way up through here and around. And look how close when they put these wires in, how this is. All that's got to do is short out, catch on fire. So then the wires came through here and back out, and then they goes into the cab. So they just cut these wires in there. So what I'm going to do is finish pulling out these wires, and this vapor barrier I'm going to tape back up so that way it's not letting any air through. And also what I'm going to be doing is, I did notice that my windshield wiper on the back wasn't working. So I'm going to make sure all my plugs and everything are good inside here. Make sure they're all connected good. And make sure all of my rods that open the back hatch and the glass are working properly and hooked up correctly. Because when they jerk this stuff out, they could have accidentally bumped something and made it to where it's not working now. So let me get on to this, and I'll be back. Alrighty, so like I was saying, I got this plastic dangling around my head. I'm checking all the cables and the latches to make sure that the rear hatch opens and closes correctly in the rear window. Now, a common problem with the Fords is that these pieces right here, they break and then nothing works. I just did a video where I replaced the rear latch cables on a 99 F-150, and it was because of this same thing. Now, I did buy a little kit that you can get from AutoZone. I think it's 11 or 12 bucks. And basically what it does is it puts this end on it. Basically what you do is you cut this piece off, and then you take this cable right here and you fish it through this slit in this aluminum piece, basically like that. You pop it in there, and then what it does is it fixes these plastic pieces breaking. Now, I have these because I was going to fix my son's truck, and I didn't get them in time, so I couldn't fix his truck. So what I'm going to do is just use these parts to fix this rear hatch, and then what I'll do is I'll just order complete new cables for his truck. So what I'm going to do is just cut this plastic off, and then I'll show you how to fish this cable through here. All right, so I'm back. Basically all I did is I took a razor blade and I just kind of cut that off so it looks like this. Now, I'm going to show you the general idea of this, and then when I'm going to go off camera, make sure I get it fit in there, because it's really tight right here, getting this cable through. So I've got this pulled as far as I can out. And basically what you have to do is kind of push this in there like that into the bottom, just push up as far as you can push up. Keep pulling on this end like that. So as you push the black part of the cable into this aluminum housing, the cable is going to go through that slit, and then all you have to do is press down like this. And you kind of have to do this on a workbench really, but you got it started and I'm holding it back, and you just kind of take your screwdriver and just kind of fish it the rest of the way in the hole. It's kind of tedious, but I'm going to get this pushed in there. Like I said, I'm going to take a screwdriver and finish pushing this cable down in here, and then I'm going to install it back. There's 2 cables on this rear door, and both of them are like this. So I'm going to go fix both of them, make sure my window and my back door latch is working correctly, and I'll be back. All right, real quick. I've got both the ends on here. I don't know what this overall length from this tip to this tip is supposed to be, so what I'm going to do is just kind of leave it loose. It has a pretty good grip in there, so what I may do is once I get it installed and it's working, I may pop it back off and put a little, maybe some Gorilla Tape around this so it all doesn't move. All right, so I've got these cables fixed on the back of the door latch here, or hatch. So now when I've opened this up, what I've noticed is now I need some new shocks for this back window. Also, my wiper is still not working. I've tested it out. There's a couple of safety switches in here that may be bad. So one day when I have a little bit more time, I'm gonna get me some new switches for all of this and get all this wiper working again. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and finish putting up the vapor barrier up at the top, and I'll put my rear trim panel up here. So I'm gonna get started on that, and then we'll be over there. We'll start taking out more of the, I guess it's wiring for the lights and sirens and stuff that was on this truck. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna remove this tail light, and all it is 2 bolts at the top, and then what you do is take a little screwdriver, kind of put in here, pry out a little bit, and it'll pop right out. Just wanna be careful with it. It's probably best to have one of the little plastic trim tools to remove this so you don't scratch your paint, but mine's over there. So the reason why I'm removing this tail light is because every light has strobes on it, or apparently it did, and that's what this right here is. This cable. So what I'm going to do is just unplug it and pull the wires through. So what I'm gonna have to do is do this exact same thing on the other side, and then I'll be ready. I'll go ahead and put my tail lights back in. Alrighty, so here's the pile of wires that come out of this truck. And like I said earlier in this video, if you're buying a law enforcement vehicle, cop car, even an ambulance, fire truck, whatever, and you're removing all the lights and equipment from it, make sure you get it all out, because some of this wire, when they pull the lights out of this thing, they really don't care. They're just trying to get the sirens out, the lights out, and get it on down the road. There's this little bus fuse box, I call it, right here. This was screwed into the passenger side on the inside, about right there. And this is exactly how it was screwed in there. It's a hot wire, and you have all these leads that are exposed with nothing covering them, and they're just sitting there. All it does need to do is just touch something and short out and burn your car down. A lot of these wires, some of the red ones were still hot, so, you know, pull it out, get it out of your car, and don't leave it there because it could cause a fire later on. So, real quick, this is going to kind of be the end of the video almost. I've got all the, like I said, 90% of the wires pulled out of this truck. The only thing I have left to do is the wires that are in the roof, because there were antennas on top of the truck, and I think there's still some coax for the radios, which those aren't hot, they're just antenna wires. So got all of it put back together on the bottom, got all the wires out. This door is still broken. I'll make a video on how to replace the window regulator in a door, and I'm probably going to order a new panel because I'm really not too keen on these screws being in that handle like that. Now when it comes to the front of the truck, probably use the panel off the back door to go here when I replace that other door. But on the inside of the driver's side, all the wires are out and everything's put back. But what I do have is a pile of brackets right here. And that was for their radios and the mics that they had up here. But this is what they did. Having all the mics screwed into here and a bracket into here for a radio. They probably had some other radio equipment in here. What it did was it broke this piece, this plastic piece part of the dash. And that's actually a whole entire piece that goes around the top, all the way over here and then back. So I'll have to order this piece, and it's about $140. Then there's this bezel. The clips on the back side of this bezel are also broken. So what I've done is I've just taken some RTV, and where these clips are supposed to plug into this dash, I just put a bunch of RTV. And what that'll do is once it dries, it'll just keep it from falling off into the floor because there's nothing holding it on. So once I get these pieces ordered, try to order these trim pieces in the gray from the factory, or the factory color of gray. What I'm going to do is we'll start putting in a new stereo, and then speakers along that line and everything else. And probably if you guys got any comments, what should I put down here? I've seen this is missing a piece. I'll have to go to a pick and pull and get that. But I don't know if I should put another little console because this truck only has kind of like a 60-40 seat with an armrest. So I'm thinking about, should I build a little console right there? Do you know of any consoles that'll fit here from the factory that are this short? I don't know if this still came with a kind of a console right there or not. But if you know of one, put a link down in the comments below. I'd really appreciate that. So, all right, so that's going to be the end of this video. If you like the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd encourage you to subscribe to the channel because we just surpassed 1,000 subscribers. And I know that in some channels, they got a lot more people than we do, but I have 1,000, and I thank each and every one of you for subscribing to the channel. And if you haven't subscribed, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, all of that good stuff. Now, if you own one of these trucks, or maybe you're working on one, or you hate these trucks, whatever, just comment that down below, because these things, and like I said in the previous video, they're everywhere. These and Tahoes, all these big older SUVs, and you can get them fairly cheap, and the parts and stuff to upgrade them is relatively cheap as well. So there's something that you can have fun with and take out and do an adventure and not have a bunch of money into it. And if you dent it, scratch it, or whatever, who cares? It's just an old truck. So you can have fun with it. Now, that's going to be it. I got to get in here and clean up all these tools and get this truck up to the car wash and get all this mud off of it from where in the previous video I was out mudding. So that's going to be it. Y'all have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next video.